Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Asia preview and weekly review of the currency markets brought to you by PrivateerFX. Quite a lot of news that came out in the past 36 hours or so, mainly centered around Saudi Arabia, where several high-profile princes and including billionaire Alaouid, who's a large shareholder in some of the U.S. stocks like Twitter and Citibank, have all been arrested. At the same time, the the Saudi military intercepted a ballistic missile. They shot down a ballistic missile near Riyadh, and then about a half an hour or so ago, one of the princes from Saudi Arabia actually died. He and I think it was 7 others died in a helicopter crash, which all seems a bit odd that this is happening, within the past day and a half. Every time I scroll through Twitter, it seems to be another headline coming out of Saudi Arabia. So this is something to watch and keep a close eye on. As Nicholas Taleb said in his tweet earlier, there is something non-random about seemingly unconnected events in the past 36 hours in Saudi Arabia. And he put that out after the news broke that Prince Mansour bin Mukrin dies in a helicopter crash. And at the same time, another mass shooting in the United States, this one in Texas, 27 people killed and about 20 plus injured in a Texas church. So nothing good really coming out over the headlines. There's also some talk about these Paradise Papers leak out of the Guardian, out of the UK's Guardian, reveals secrets of the world's elites' hidden wealth. There's files from offshore law firms that show financial dealings of the Queen and big multinationals, members of Donald Trump's cabinet, including Wilbur Ross. So we'll see if this has any impact. The markets are opening very quiet here. No real movement from Friday's closing prices. Why don't we hop over to let's take a look at some of the reversals that we had last week. I'd like to go to the weekly charts on over the weekend and then look at the price action. You can see the British pound here has closed just on the previous week's low, 130.70. I think we got to close right around that 70 level. So this is close. If it's not an outside reversal week, it's a reversal lower week. Big level we've been focusing on is this 130.20, 530 area. If we break that, we should get back down to this 128 handle. You can see here the sterling yen chart that was forming an outside reversal week lower as well. Similar to the cable chart, it's right here. So again, bearish looking weekly pattern. Here's a euro daily on Friday. So we consolidated after the big ECB down move, consolidated for several days, went up and made a high back above this 116.90 was the high. And then we closed below the previous day's low. So we did get the outside reversal day lower, or what the candle patterns call bearish engulfings. So we think that we can get another test of this 115.75, and if we do break here, that neckline, that big neckline break on the weeklies that we've highlighted earlier last week, it gets you down to the kind of the 114, 113 handle. So we're paying close attention to that. Here's the Kiwi Yen chart, which we had a reversal higher week. After several week downtrends. So maybe a bit of a pause in the Kiwi weakness. Here's a daily Kiwi chart. We got up to the 69.50 area and failed, and actually closed lower on the day. But again, this looks consolidative at the moment in the Kiwi dollar. Here's the dollar yen weekly chart. We actually made it. We took out last week's low, and we had that big down move on Thursday. That was, of course, bought aggressively, as every other dollar yen sell-off seems to be. And so we did have a reversal week higher. Here's a level we've been talking about. We've been talking about the big barriers at 114.50. We got up to as high as 114.43 on Friday. Let's jump over the daily chart. There's a weekly. Let's get to the daily. And we'll bring it down to the hourly as well. But this area in here, right here, this 114.50, this is where the barriers are. You could keep selling it with a stop above, because I do think if we finally take out these barriers, then a lot of technicians are calling for 116, 117. Even up to here, up to November's highs, like post-election last year was right in here. This 118.50, 119 handle zone. So we'll be watching that here. We spoke about this a few times, where we have these long wicks on every sell-off. Sells off, comes right back up. Big sell-off, right back up. Here's Thursday sell-off, or that would have been Friday sell-off. Straight back up. This was after slightly disappointing jobs numbers out of the U.S., mainly the average hourly earnings. And then you can see here, we got a long wick up here against this 114.43 high, and we sold off the next few hours into the New York close and settled right here, where we're trading 114 figure 5 here on the open. So pretty much unchanged. So dollar yen's definitely a feature for us this week. As far as event risk, nothing really in the Asian session. Some PMI data coming out of Europe. We do have a couple of bigger events this week. So we have the RBA, which is Tuesday morning in Asia, and the RBNZ is Thursday morning during the Asian time zone. So we'll be keeping a close eye there, and looking out for any new signals from either of any of the Australia or New Zealand central banks this week. What else do we have? Tax reform, is still kind of going along. I'll be curious to see. We'll be watching for headlines all week. This is going to drag on a bit longer. I can't imagine they get anything done, by Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever Trump's hopes are. Trump was out tweeting how great a job he's doing, and it's being reflected in the stock market, which is making new all-time. Let's pop over here and take a look at see where the weekly S&P 500 chart. We made another new high weekly close. So it's just green bar after green bar. This will break, and when it does, we're expecting somewhere in the magnitude of about a 5% sell-off in the S&P 500, and probably more like a 10 to 15% sell-off in the NASDAQ. Here's the NASDAQ closed right on the highs. This being led mainly by the FANG stocks. This is going to end in massive tears, because we're getting into kind of a parabolic. Again, this is the weekly. This last little leg up here, these past 5 weeks, this looks very parabolic to me, and the corrections will be significant. Like I said, the 10 to 15%. And I think we could get a bit of a correction here into year-end, before year-end, most likely in November, and then maybe we close on the highs of the year, and then we'll be looking, and we'll be way ahead of this, but we'll be looking very closely to see where things are on the open of 2018. So that should do it. Again, fairly quiet. Keep an eye on the headlines. Seems to be something going on in Saudi Arabia, and there could be an impact. It could filter into some of the other risk currencies, and the oil market, and the oil had a big move real quick here before we leave. Oil just closed extremely strong. Here's the weekly, closed right on the highs of the week, and we're now taking out these old highs at 55.15, closed up at 55.60. This looks like we should set the target for this move is probably up here near the 200-week moving average. We haven't been this high in quite some time. So back to, it looks like 2015, we were up in the low 60s. So it's a new two-year highs, and definitely been trading well. It's been a decent technical trade for the past few weeks. All right, let's wrap it up. Again, just keeping an eye out. It's more midweek for the some of the Asian event risk with the RBA and the RBNZ, and we will be back on for the European Open and bring you up to date on any new developments and with the Saudi news, and see if there's any action here in Asia. Good luck, traders, and we will speak to you in the European Open. Cheers.